This is nice. I don't have to adjust too much. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm Courtney Rogers, and I'm normally loud enough, so I'll probably stick around here with the microphone for a few, but I like to get around and move and keep our blood flowing. Okay, so last time I spoke was this past Saturday, and it was at an unconference, a digital unconference called PodCamp, and it was in a bar, and we all started drinking at 10 a.m. So I want to see a little excitement out of you guys. Okay, does everyone have some coffee and you're up and at 'em? Thanks for getting here early. It is definitely, it's nice in the social media world to be able to speak to different events, different groups. I own a branding company, and I think the word brand is very much overused, and a lot of people, I don't necessarily think they know what it means. So I like to tell people it's so important to know your brand, know your message, know who you're talking to, and what you want to say before you do anything with social media. Social media is obviously a powerful tool, otherwise we wouldn't be devoting a half a day to it with the National Business Journal. And it is an excellent tool, it's a wonderful marketing tool, but if you don't know what you're saying, and you don't know who you're saying it to, you're basically just putting noise out there. So I want to talk to you today about first establishing your brand, and then how to promote it using social media. So, we'll start off the day with a little cartoon. I saw this, and it just really made me think of how many times people, they forget about their brand when it comes to social media. They forget about their brand when it comes to marketing, when it comes to communications. And I think that one of the biggest things I come across is if you're letting someone else do your social media, you're not being true to your brand. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. Brand first. So a brand is not a logo, a color, or a tagline. And I think quite a few people come up and say, okay, I need a logo. I need a real quick logo. That's not a brand. A brand is a purposeful and consistent experience for your target audience. And this is, like Caroline said, I own the company with my brother. He's the creative. He is the brander. And this is his definition of a brand. So when you think of a brand, and we'll talk about some local brands and some national brands, it's not just their colors, their tagline, their logo. It's the entire experience. So Starbucks, when you walked in here today, if you came in the same direction I did, there was a Starbucks right there. Almost every Starbucks you walk into, same color, same smell, they greet you the same way, it's the same paper napkins, it's an entire experience. And that's what a brand is. Building a brand takes time and money. It's not, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to throw together a quick logo, come up with a nifty tagline, and there's my brand. Brands need to be researched. Brands need to be established on what your target market is, what your message is. It's not what you like. It's what your customers like. A lot of clients come to us possibly for a rebranding because they came up with their brand because it was their mom's favorite color. They really liked this cool picture because their daughter liked it. That's not the way to establish a brand. It's got to be based on research. So how are you going to sell your product most effectively? You may need to change your brand. So you've been established for 10, 15, 20 years. You're doing a pretty good job, but we all know time's changing. We're here talking about social media. Social media is one of the great examples of how marketing has really changed. So be prepared to change your brand, and be prepared to say, it's okay to change your brand. Speaking of Starbucks, they just came out with a new logo. They actually removed Starbucks from their logo, the word Starbucks. Same with Target. Target is now just the bullseye. So smart marketers and smart business people know that there is a time and a place to change and refresh your brand. So I'm speaking a little bit about some national brands, and the reason I'm doing this is because I really want you to understand the power of a brand. So I've spoken about Starbucks, Target, Ford. If you think about their commercials, the way that they speak about their brand, the people that they get to speak about their brand. Apple, I'm a designer, I'm a geek, so of course I've got to plug the Macs. but Apple's one of the strongest brands, easily recognized brands in the world. Coca-Cola, nice Southern brand. There's been some some major issues when people try to do a rebranding and their customers don't appreciate it. So learn some hard lessons there. Some local brands. Who in here is from this general area? I know I met a couple people who were telecommuting. Okay, so a lot of people, so you're probably familiar. Jack Daniels, obviously super strong brand. Emma, they're a local email marketing company, and I think they have one of the strongest brands. They are really good at finding their voice and consistently using that voice throughout all of their marketing. Cracker Barrel, that's a local brand, and actually the logo was designed by a man at the Button Group, so a local Nashville agency. Hatch, are you guys familiar with the Hatch prints, the show prints? I think they do a really great job of promoting their brand locally, so much so that people will basically emulate the Hatch posters to promote their own brand using somebody else's established brand. So brand consistency. When you're on the internet, if you are talking about using social media, which we definitely are going to get into, your business cards, your print material, your name tag, think about using your brand consistently. Same profile and logo on everything. Use the same font. You'll notice a lot of times a website looks completely different than an email marketing campaign, that looks completely different than a Facebook page, that looks completely different from a business card. When you're establishing your brand, these are the things that you want to think about. Like I mentioned with Emma, they do a great job using their same voice and tone in everything, and your same design. So it's really important to think about these things first before you start using social media. Message, then market. So what's your goal for using social media? And this is a really important question, because if your goal is to sell your product, then you would use it differently than if it were to build brand awareness versus, and maybe if you're in the nonprofit industry, versus if you are an event planner and you're trying to promote events. So there's a very different way to use social media depending on what your goal is. What's your message? This is, I think, a pretty basic business concept, but a lot of times people just hop on social media, they start putting things out there and they don't really know what they're saying. Who are you talking to? Are you trying to talk to the entire world? Are you trying to talk to all of the 500 million people on Facebook? Hopefully not, because you won't get there. Are you trying to talk to people who maybe you need to donate money to a nonprofit? Are you trying to get people to buy your product? So think about who you're talking to. And where are your prospects? Not all of your prospects are going to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the internet even. So these are questions you need to talk about first within your company before you start using social media. All right, so moving into social media, some of the basics are complete your profile. I just talked about how I spoke at PodCamp this past weekend, and I spoke about digitally stalking people online. And at first, people I think really thought that I was just a stalker, which I kind of am, but in a business aspect. I'm a small business owner. I have a pretty large digital footprint. So if you were to Google my name or try to find me, I try to do a pretty good job of getting my name out there. For me, it's a great way to do business. My profile is the same. If you look at my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my LinkedIn page, my website, I'm going to use the same picture. My bio headshot, my headshot's always the same, so that I'm building brand consistency online. Make sure your profile is complete so that if I'm trying to find out more about you, let's say you start following me on Twitter, and I click on your bio, you don't have a picture, you don't have where you work, who you are, or where you live. I just think you're a spammer, and I won't follow you back. Don't talk about yourself. Social media is about engaging the people around you, about engaging the community. It's okay to use social media to sell a product or a service, but if all you do is throw information out there, come on in, come 10% off today. I make the best widgets in the world. Check me out online. You're really just spamming people. It's about figuring out, like we talked about, who are you talking to, who's your target market, and then engaging that community. Make it easy to connect. So I'm digitally stalking you. I'm trying to figure out how to get to you. When I go to your website, is all of your information there? Do you have links to your social media tools on your website? Or do I have to dig and dig and dig? Because honestly, I'm just going to go do business with somebody else. If I can't find you, if I can't figure out what you do, and you're not easy to connect with using social media, somebody out there probably is easier to connect with. And I know that someone will be speaking on this later. I'm not going to get into the specifics of social media strategies, but it's really important to build a strategy. And it's really important, like I said, first to have your brand before you start using social media. Once you've got your brand established, your message established, then build a strategy. What's your goal? You've got to figure out your goal before you just start using social media. Own your brand's name. So my company's name is Primarily Rye. That's a pretty interesting name. It's not everyone out there is trying to take it. But I own my company's name when it comes to Facebook. And I'll talk about each different tool, but you can get a vanity URL. So I make sure that I have my Facebook site set up with Primarily Rye's vanity URL. YouTube, same thing. So it's just YouTube/Primarily Rye. Twitter, same thing. Own your company's brand. There's actually been quite a few lawsuits out there. Some internet savvy person will go and, I think it was Denny's, this happened with about a year and a half ago. They got the Twitter handle Denny's. It was just some guy, I want to say he was in Japan or something like that. He started tweeting from Denny's. Well, Denny's got really upset because they said, well, that's not us. Well, that guy was pretty smart, and he ended up he sold it to Denny's for quite a lot of money. So if you're in a company, think about establishing and taking your brand first. Just like your website URLs, everyone says get the .com, get the .org, get all that. It's the same thing with social media. If you don't get it now, somebody else will. Monitor your brand. So you've established your brand. You've taken all this time to do the research. Now it's time to monitor it. And I will talk about specific tools. But social media is an amazing way to figure out what people are saying about you, good or bad. Because trust me, they're saying it. You need to be listening. And that's a great way to use social media. All right, I'm going to break it down a little bit into the specific tools. There are many, many tools out there. I'm going to talk about the most popular ones and the ones that I have actually personally seen success on. And we'll start with Facebook. Raise your hand in here if you have a business Facebook page. Nice. You want to make sure that it's a fan page. When Facebook started, they didn't offer fan pages. So some of the people who started using it first, using Facebook to promote their companies, had just a regular profile. If you still have that, you do need to change it over to a Facebook fan page. There's not an easy way. I have clients who have thousands and thousands of friends on their profile. The only thing you can do is start up a fan page and ask all of those friends to become fans. Facebook did not make that easy for us. The reason it's important to have a fan page is because Facebook reads the analytics and the data differently on a fan page than it does a personal profile. There's also a way to track basically the impressions, Facebook impressions. Have people heard that buzzword kind of going around? Basically, it's just saying who's coming to your site and what are they doing there. Facebook, as all social media, needs to be used for interacting. I think it's great if you have a coupon or you have a genuine offering for clients, put it out there on your Facebook page. But if your Facebook page update every day is, come see us, we sell the nicest trucks in Murfreesboro, people are just going to stop paying attention to that. It's not interesting, it's not engaging, and really, we're very much a what's in it for me society. So offer them something. Talk about your community. Talk about other people that are doing great things in your industry. Talk about your competition, and I'm not saying in a negative way. There's nothing wrong with promoting the people around you. Social media is called social for a reason. Just like if every single person here, if all we did was show up at a networking event, talk, me, I, no one's going to want to talk to you. No one's going to want to do business with you. That's basically how social media is working. And I did speak earlier about getting your vanity URL. Now, when you go in and set up your page, it automatically says would you like to set a vanity URL. If you've done it and you didn't get a chance to do that because it's kind of new, just go into Facebook and search for the word vanity URL, and it'll show you how to do it. Twitter. Twitter is, I think, the most powerful tool in social media, but I think people are most scared of it because it does have kind of its own language. I was speaking with a couple of people before this started, and a gentleman asked me, why should I use Twitter? And my answer is because it's a group of passionate people who want to support people who are passionate as well. Be it music, be it business, be it cooking, wine, kids, blogging, whatever it is, you can find these amazing groups of people who want to support you and want to help you in whatever your passion is. Twitter's a cocktail party, so let's pretend this is a huge cocktail party that the Nashville Business Journal has thrown for us. If you walk into a cocktail party and you stand there and you just, hey everyone, I'm Courtney, what's going on? Yeah, so I own my own company, I'm in Franklin, I'm fabulous, and everyone should be my friend. No one's going to talk to you. I mean, literally, it's going to be like, okay, that girl is crazy. You walk into a cocktail party, and you have these little groups of people talking. So you'll notice someone maybe is talking about NASCAR over here. Someone's talking about wine over here. Someone's talking about entrepreneurship over here. And you kind of go, all right, where would I fit in? I love NASCAR, so I'm going to kind of step over this way, listen a little bit, see what they're talking about, and then slowly introduce myself and add something of relevance to the conversation. That's Twitter. If you just announce yourself, talk about yourself, and you're not engaging with other people, you're not going to get followers. Followers, it's not really how many followers you have, it's the quality of followers that you have. So are people following you that agree with you, that are passionate about you, that want to support you? Are they doing retweets for you? A retweet is, I say something that you find interesting. You push retweet so that all of your followers can see what I've had to say. People always ask me, well, who do I follow? I mean, there's tons and tons of people on Twitter. How do I know who to follow? I say follow your customers, your competition, your prospects, and your community. It's really important that you know what your competition is doing out there. Just like you're reading about them in the Nashville Business Journal. Just like you're watching them on the news. They are also on Twitter. What are they doing out there that maybe you can do better or that you could learn from them? Your community. So your community could be the community that you live in, but it could also be the healthcare community, the technology community, the business community, the entrepreneur community, the foodie community, whatever it is. Find the people out there that are in that community because it is amazing the connections that you can make using Twitter. Twitter is a new form of customer service. I don't call 800 numbers anymore. I @ someone, so @ Comcast Cares. The other day I couldn't log on, it was driving me crazy. I just went @ Comcast Cares, hey, anything happening in zip code 37064 that I need to know about? 7 minutes later, I get a response, yeah, it's down, reboot your router. Thank you. Do you remember how long it used to take to call Comcast, like just to get through to the right person? I don't do that anymore. Your customers shouldn't have to do that. Your customers are wanting to talk to you. They're wanting to talk about you. I'll have a great experience at a restaurant. I get really excited. I go to their website. I'm like, oh, I hope they're on Twitter. Well, they're not on Twitter. They're not on Facebook. Their website is, I can't even navigate around it. I had a great experience, and I want to tell other people about it, but they're not making it easy for me. So that, I think, the people who are not using social media, the businesses who are not using social media, are really losing out on some great customer service opportunities. Twitter is a great way to send out your specials, your deals. I follow a ton of restaurants. I'd like to know if you've got a special for your Twitter followers. There's a new wine bar in Franklin that will just randomly put out, say you saw this on Twitter and get a free glass of wine, or check in on Foursquare and your first bottle of wine is free on us, things like that. I mean, that's an offering. That is absolutely a reason for me to follow you, talk about you, and tell other people in my community about you. Track your brand. So like I said, people are talking about you. Are you listening? The hashtag is actually a way to track keywords on Twitter. I suggest that when you're using Twitter, I use TweetDeck. How many of you are familiar with that tool, TweetDeck? Hootsuite, something similar to that. It's a little bit more robust than Twitter.com. There's nothing wrong with Twitter.com. It's just, I think it's harder to track things. I have my TweetDeck set up where I track my name. So @CourtneyRogers is my Twitter handle. The company, my brother's Twitter handle, #design, #Franklin, Tennessee, #marketing, #social media, all of these different things within the Nashville area. Because people are talking about events that are going on. They're looking for help. Does anyone know a design company that can help me with my brand? Yes, I'm right here. I mean, that's a hot lead right into the door. I didn't have to cold call or do anything to get that one. So your brand, your name, other people's names in your company are great ideas to set up to track your brand. Another pretty cool tool is Twilert. So it's similar to Google Alerts. Are you familiar with Google Alerts? So it's similar to that, but it's on Twitter. So if anyone's talking about you, you're going to be able to see. LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a very, very powerful tool, and it is finally starting to get the credit that it deserves. You can connect and find so many different people and businesses using LinkedIn. The key is you have to use it. It's great, fill out your profile. You definitely need to have your profile on there, have it 100% complete, but if all you do is have a profile out there and you don't have any connections, you're really not using it most effectively. The key to LinkedIn is to have lots and lots of connections so that when you are trying to do business with a certain company or possibly find an employee for your business, you have so many connections that you're going to be able to be connected to that person. Create a page for your business. So this is, it's still in beta, it's rather new, but you can create a page just like Facebook has fan pages, LinkedIn has business pages. This is another one. Excuse me. Own your brand, own your name. Make sure that you own it first before somebody else does. On LinkedIn, if you haven't created a business page, but let's say someone else says, I work at the X company, there is actually a profile already created for the X company. You want to make sure as the marketer or the CEO or whoever's in charge of that you own it first before other people just start adding to it. There's a lot of groups on LinkedIn. Again, figure out what your community is, figure out what your goal is using social media, and start joining these groups. That's how you're going to find out about events that are happening, people who are hiring, companies that are doing well, companies that are not doing well. There's so much information that can be found on LinkedIn. It takes a little bit of time, but I join these groups and then I get email alerts. So if someone puts out a job posting or somebody puts up some great information, I get an email. So I decide, is this relevant for me? Do I want to talk about it or not? Again, monitor your brand. Social media, people are talking. They're talking about you and your company on these different sites. You need to make sure that you're on there monitoring it. YouTube. A lot of times I think people forget about YouTube, and I like to say that I want to remind you, YouTube is owned by Google. Google's the #1 search engine in the world. YouTube is #2. There are so many different ways to use YouTube. I'm taping myself right now. We have a channel. I put this information up there. If people can come to the event, they can watch or not watch. They can make comments and do whatever they want to. I think it's a great tool that way. Another amazing tool is that people go to YouTube and Google, how do I replace a toilet? How do I tile my own floor? How do I convert a Word document to a PDF? How do I, and there are millions of people out there that have these wonderful how-to videos. If you're in the business of any sort of customer service, Amy's with the Lee Company here, have a plumber showing people how to do basic plumbing. Have an HVAC person talking about cleaning out your HVAC system. I mean, video is huge for search engine optimization, which is another fun buzzword that everyone likes to hear. And it's just an amazing way to help people find your company. When you upload a video to YouTube, make sure that you use keywords. So just like if you were to write a blog, and let's say we're blogging about the Nashville Business Journal, use Nashville, business, entrepreneur, startups, things like that. Same thing for a video, so that people can find you. Because YouTube, it's like, okay, how do I find this person? Well, if your video is about social media 101, then make sure you tag it. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these different things, so it's easy to find on YouTube. Customize your page, it's free. Get your logo on there, get your information on there, so that when someone lands on your page, they know that they're in the right place. I just spoke about blogging. How many people in here have a corporate or business blog? Okay, that's actually probably more than I thought. Blogs are so important because they're very easy to update. Websites can be expensive to update. You have to call your IT person, who is actually a developer who lives in California, who only works at 3 o'clock in the morning. We all know how that goes. It's very difficult sometimes if you don't have control of your own website to do your updates. This is where a blog comes in handy. Blogs are very simple. There are wonderful free platforms that you can start your blogs on, and you can update them all the time. Google loves to see content being constantly updated. So if you have a website that is just static and it was built 5 years ago and you don't even know the password anymore, and you'd be surprised at how many people have no control over their website because it was done so long ago. That's just a static site that's sitting there, and it's just sinking slowly to the bottom of the Google search engine. If you have a blog and you've got social media sites and you're constantly updating, your name, your company's name, is being recognized, and it's being brought to the top of Google. Social media, every tweet that you send, every Facebook update that you do, and every LinkedIn update that you do, along with StumbleUpon and other social media tools, goes right to Google. So it's increasing your digital footprint, your business's digital footprint. How many people in here, and tell the truth, if you are looking for a business, use the Yellow Pages. Not online, old school, big old book. 2 people. How many people go to the Google? Exactly. The more you're using social media for your business, the higher you're going up in the Google rankings. The more consistent your message is, you're using the same words, you're using the same voice, the same tone, the more Google sees that and likes it. The more other people are talking about you, the higher you're going to go up. We can all talk about ourselves, put in every fancy keyword that the developer told us to do when they build our website. It really doesn't matter anymore. It's what people are saying about you. It's what people are retweeting about you. It's what people are commenting on your Facebook fan page. That's how you're going to be found in business. With blogging, the great thing about a blog, besides being able to, that it can be updated constantly, is that there's these little pockets of communities that really, like I was talking about earlier, really want to support each other. They're commenting on your blog. You're commenting on their blog. I call it link love. So I go on someone's blog and I say, I really appreciated that post. I wrote something similar 2 weeks ago. Check out my blog. Doing the same thing back and forth. That, again, is helping to build that digital footprint. And it's a digital footprint where other people are talking about you. You're not just talking about yourself and your company. Email marketing, I briefly spoke about Emma, who is a local email marketing company. I think sometimes people forget about email marketing as a social media tool. It's definitely more one way because you're sending the information out. But when it comes to a brand and using social media, it's really important for your email marketing to be consistent with your brand. So let's say you spend a lot of time and money and you've got this great website, you've got your awesome branded logo, you've got your tagline, you've got your colors, you have your brand elements and your brand book, and then you send out this totally non-custom, free, I won't say the name of the companies that I'm not a big fan of, and it just looks like everybody else's email marketing. You've really just wasted a lot of your time that you spent putting together that information because it gets lost. So it doesn't use whoever you want to use, but make sure that your email template looks the same every time. That it's customized to your brand. Your tone and your voice is the same. If you've taken all that time to establish that brand, make sure you're using that in your email marketing as well. A couple of just tips. I'm a huge fan of email marketing if done well. Keep it short and sweet. Who in here has time to read 6 paragraphs at 8 o'clock in the morning when you have 150 more emails to go through? Exactly. Nobody does. So think about that when you're sending your email out to other people. Track your analytics. So whatever tool you're using, hopefully it has analytics built into it. If it doesn't, get rid of it and find a new one. So you send out 1,000 emails. Did anyone open it? Did anyone click through it? Did anyone forward it to a friend? Did anyone opt out? You spend all this time working on a consistent brand. You've got this beautiful, well-written e-blast. You send it out Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Everyone's already at happy hour. You just wasted all your time. But you don't know that because you didn't track the analytics. Okay, so a lot of this has to do with very strategically thinking about the tools before you start using them. Don't spam. There is a law. It started about 2 years ago called the Canned Spam Law. You have to ask people if you could put them on your list. A lot of people think that, oh, whatever, I'll just take all these business cards and put them in. That's spamming, and it is illegal. So when you meet someone and you grab a business card, hey, I'm Courtney, nice to meet you, business card. Do you mind if I add you to my email list? That's all it takes. If they say no, make sure you write on the card, do not add. But people are really getting strict on canned spam laws. Your website. Your website is the hub of all your social media efforts. So you've got this consistent brand. You paid a branding company a lot of money to help you get there. Your website should be the hub. You need to have Google Analytics installed. If not Google, which is free, there are other tools that are more expensive. There are great tools out there. I am a small business owner, and I like to use as many free tools as possible. Install the analytics, just like you're doing with your email marketing, so you know who's coming to your website, where are they coming from. So you've spent all this time, you've got an awesome fan page, your Twitter account is just rocking it out there, you've got all these followers, you have 600 connections on LinkedIn, you have your website. Well, maybe not a single person has ever visited your website from Facebook. Well, that says to me you probably don't need to focus so much on your Facebook. Maybe that's not where your target market is. So, again, it's strategy. You have all these tools. Track them. See what's working for you. Make sure, I said earlier, make sure that your social media links are on your website. There are very simple widgets, basically, that you can just go to twitter.com and copy the code for the little T and have your IT person, or if you're web savvy, just get that on your site. If you're using social media, make sure that people can find you. Your website is not just an online brochure anymore. That's what it was. It's just not like that anymore. People want interaction. They want to be able to find you easily, and they want to be able to figure out what you do very quickly without going to 17 different pages to try to figure it out. We're all busy people. We want information quickly. Realize that and make it easy for people to find you and to do business with you. Google Alerts, I mentioned earlier. Set up, just like you've got your Twitter alerts, set up Google Alerts so that if you are, maybe there's an article written about you that you didn't know about. It's going to pop up. If you're mentioned in someone else's blog, if you're mentioned on someone else's website, your company, your competition. I like to Google my competition to see what they're doing so that I can stay ahead of the game, or at least try. Prospects. You really want to do business with these 3 companies. Get them going on Google Alerts. So when there's an awesome article in the National Business Journal about the CEO, you can go old school, cut it out, stick it in a letter, mail it to him. Hey, saw this article about you. Congratulations. Mail it to him. That's going to make an impression. Just a couple of closing points. Establish your brand and then promote it. Keep your brand consistent. This takes time. It takes work. It takes your company coming together and talking about who are we and who do we want to do business with. Build your strategy. Make sure your employees understand your brand so that, the marketing director, man, they're all over it. They know exactly what to do. But then the rest of the employees, they don't know. Their emails aren't consistent. Their tone isn't consistent. The salespeople, when they're going out and you've got 5 or 6 different salespeople talking to people, they're inconsistent. The sales sheets are inconsistent. So make sure that if you spend all this time doing the work at the top, that you get it down to the people who are really selling and making money for you. Engage with your community and your prospects. Don't sell. Again, use your analytics. There's lots of free tools out there. It takes a little bit of time. And prepare to change your strategy. You know to change your strategy because you've tracked it. And you know, I spent way too much time on Twitter last month and I didn't get anything from it. But Facebook, I got 17 leads that converted into 10 new clients. I'm going to spend a lot more time on Facebook. I may invest in some Facebook ads. So again, it's build your brand, know your target market, know your message, have a strategy, and then pick the tools that best work for your company. Got some time for questions? Yes?
If you build a brand that's real known, it's visual, but you don't have the communication side of it, how would you convince a company that the brand is more than just what our ads look like, but how we communicate with people?
So the question is, you have a visual brand, but not so much a communicated brand?
Yes.
A visual brand, first of all, a brand can't just be visual. So let's say people know your name or they know your logo, but if they don't know how you work with people, how you do business, how you interact with your community, then you really haven't done a very good job of establishing your brand. I think the best piece of advice that I would give is when you are building your brand and your brand elements, make sure you understand how you want to communicate with people. How do you want to use your social media? And be authentic, and that's such a buzzword right now, but it really is. Be genuine and be authentic so that when someone says, you know, company X, yeah, they're really well known, but you know that they pay a lot of attention to their clients. They actually respond to me on Twitter. They send me things on Facebook. They let me, as a Facebook fan, know that I can get in on their special 2 days before someone who's not a Facebook fan. So I think it comes down to engaging the people that you want to do business with. Yes, sir.
You consciously try to separate your personal brand from your company brand.
The question is, do I separate my personal brand from my company's brand? I don't, but the company is me and my brother. So if I do something stupid on Twitter, I get myself in trouble. Now, if you're a corporation, so for clients that I have that are large companies, I think it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to just find prospects, just do business, and keep it very professional, then I would separate the two. But realize it's very easy for me to say, okay, you've got this professional company X. All I have to do is click on company X, see who the people are, and then follow them on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'm going to get to know you on a personal level anyway. So I would say it is probably wise to keep it separate if you're in a large corporation, but realize people are going to find you either way. So just realize that when you're creating brands. Yes?
When you're first setting all this up, how do you get a realistic look at an estimate on how long you think you're going to have to spend on social media? Let's say you have 1 million clients out there, when you have a huge customer service area, but you really want your marketing people, which is smaller, handling social media.
So how do you figure out what to focus on, basically?
Right, and how do you estimate how much time you think it's going to take up for your daily life?
I think it's pretty hard to figure out how much time you're going to spend on it before you know what you want to do with social media. It does take time. People always say, oh, you've got to use Twitter, it's free. Well, yes, to go to the website twitter.com, that's free. But the time that it takes me to do that is not free. So it comes down to budget. What's your marketing budget say? Who's going to be doing it? Preferably, it's one person. I mean, there's companies now that are hiring specifically one person to do all of their social media. That, I think, is an easy answer right there, because you've hired one person, that's the money that you're spending, money and time there. But let's say you don't have a person in your marketing company to specifically focus on social media. Figure out who you want to get to. So am I using social media to get clients? Am I using social media to just build brand awareness? What's your goal first? When it comes to time, you've got to know how to use it first. And there's a learning curve. You've got to figure it out a little bit. It takes a while, especially Twitter. It takes a little while to figure out. But I say, just like you check your emails, just like you do your follow-up phone calls, just like you do your networking, I use social media at least an hour a day straight. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you see I tweet all the time, but that's also because I have it on my phone, and if I'm at my desk, I've got my tweet deck coming up. But it takes an hour to 2 a day, but it's that engagement that is going to really make a difference with your social media efforts. Yes?
Maybe you said either you're kind of going to do it or you're not going to do it. You need to have everything up and running, but at the same time, you also need to get your vanity URL first, get your Facebook page first before someone else gets it. So which do you recommend? I mean, can you just go get all these things and then kind of have them offline as you're working on them to launch them, if you will, or is it better to not get any of them until you're completely ready to go?
No, I would say, and the question is, do you go all out and just piecemeal, or do you have it set up in a strategy? I say everyone needs to leave today and go get your vanity URLs. Go get your Twitter handle. Go get your LinkedIn business page set up, things like that. Knowing you're going to use them. Let somebody else have it. If you're not going to use it and you're a company that somebody, that there's a lot out there, if you're not going to use it, somebody else is going to take it. But this comes down to strategy, and we will be speaking about strategy later. But I definitely think go get them and then focus on one tool at a time. Get it going on your analytics. I think it takes a good 3 months to get any sort of accurate analytics. You're not going to figure out in a week. So if your CEO is like, so how'd that week of tweeting go for you? I have no idea. It's going to take me 3 months. But get them, get it set up on your website to track it, start using it, and then see what's happening with your traffic. Blogs, when I put a blog post up, I get a ton more traffic, and then it'll settle down. Lots of questions. How are we on time?
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
I was curious to know how you would handle the situation where you have multiple employees using social media and not all equally knowledgeable about the messaging. So we have kind of sporadic activity going on that our department, the communications department, may not know about. Do you have any recommendations for how you could, get your arms around that?
Yes, it is building a social media policy. And a social media policy does not have to be a 6-month, drawn-out, 28-meeting process. A social media policy could be one paragraph saying, our company believes that social media is important. This is our message. Person 1, 2, and 3 will be running social media. And when you're using social media, make sure you used your best judgment when speaking about our company and our employees and our competition. I mean, it's very similar to what was the email policies when everyone freaked out about, oh my gosh, email, anything can happen. Well, as a company, you've got to set the rules and set the expectations. So there really is, the only answer is from the top, you've got to have a social media policy, and don't, in the Navy we used to call, you nuke something out, like you just engineer it to pieces. It can be very simple. And I really think you can't stop your employees from talking about you. If you do, you're completely going against the whole point of social media. Your employees and your customers and your prospects and your clients and your competition can really be your biggest cheerleaders. So don't stop it. You'll see that companies that go in and remove negative comments get blasted for that. It's just like if you go on Amazon.com and you hated this book that you read, you're allowed to hate the book that you read. That author is more than welcome to come in and say, I'm so sorry that you felt that way, but that author can't remove that comment. If you're trying to remove what people are saying about you, then you're missing the whole point of social media. Yes?
What are the dangers and pitfalls?
Dangers and pitfalls? There are obviously many. I think there's going to be less if you have a social media policy. The dangers and pitfalls, basic ones, are people can hack into your account and send you annoying things on Facebook, like I just won $500 free dollars in Southwest, and you're like, oh, you just got hacked into. People can say really bad things about you and your company, but I kind of think that's a great opportunity to show the rest of your community how you respond to something like that. It's old school. It used to come out in the newspaper, and then the next day you had a huge press release. Well, it comes out in a tweet, and you have about 30 seconds to respond to it. So again, that's where having a social media policy in place can really help. People can say really dumb things. I say trust your employees and hire people that aren't going to say really dumb things. Easier said than done, but I think when you hire someone and you have them sign that policy, you're holding them accountable for that. I think, last question.
I'm a bank, and from the bank perspective, when people say negative things about us, we can't say anything back for privacy issues. Compliance tells me I can't do anything. What do we do about that type of stuff? We have removed it, and I hate to do that. And then we respond to that person in private, through a message. But I want everybody to see, hey, we're trying to take care of this. We can't really do that though because of privacy.
Right.
So we're acknowledging their customer.
Absolutely, and I've got a couple of financial institutions that say this, or ask me the same questions. My answer would be, one, what does your social media policy say, if you have one? If you don't, then you need to figure out the response to that. I would ask the question, can I at least say, thank you for your comment, I will follow up with an email.
Okay, that's kind of what
You're responding, and I think people will understand that you've responded and you're a bank, and obviously you're not going to say, what's your account number? Even when I at Comcast Cares, right, even when I use Twitter to get customer service, it goes into a DM, which is a direct message. Hey, what's the address, what's the account listed under, and things like that. But a simple response, thank you so much, I'll be following up with an email within 24 hours.
Okay, great.
No, sorry, we're going to have, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time for questions, and especially with the panel. So write your question down, because they will most likely be able to answer it possibly better than I can. So thank you so much for your time and for